Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in honoring a great friend and a great person, Admiral James Stavridis.
Thank you. Thank you. Way too kind. Thank you. Please. That's way too kind. Let me begin, as always, by getting the microphone down to a normal person's height. Bruce, thank you. Far, far too kind. Mike Emanuel, thanks for being such a fabulous, engaging host. And I think this is just a wonderful evening. It's wonderful in every dimension, but for me personally, to look across a sea of faces representing so many different intersections of my life and my career. I see Admiral Joe Strasser on the board of USAA, who was a mentor to me in the Pentagon 1.2 million years ago when I was a lieutenant. I see the Chief of Naval Operations, Jay Johnson, who called me to his office when I was a commander and inspired me, and I could go on and on. But to all who are friends over so many decades, thank you. Laura and I celebrate our 31st wedding anniversary tomorrow, and we thank you for being part of that with all of us. Thank you. I'm extremely honored in every dimension to be here, but I was thrilled to be part of a program involving USAA and Joe Robles, who I think is an extraordinary American military leader and business leader. And I have one piece of advice for USAA, of which I have been the recipient for insurance, banking, and every other purpose for these 35 years. Why is hair loss considered a pre-existing condition? So, what I would like to do is accept this extraordinary award, and frankly, I am inspired by these young Marines who stepped up here today. My father served as a colonel of Marines. I come from a Marine background. My father is probably still wondering what I'm doing in a Navy uniform. But you all inspire us, and to the degree that I deserve a shred of this award, it is because of the young men and women like the three of you who make us all so proud. Thank you. Admiral Johnson, former Chief of Naval Operations, told me to hold my remarks to about 45 minutes. I assume everyone's comfortable. What I'd like to do in just a moment or two is pay tribute to so many in the room who are business men and women. I mean, this is about what our economy is doing, I think, our gathering tonight. And so often I am the recipient of Americans who say to me, thank you for your service. And I appreciate that. And all of our men and women appreciate it when we hear that. Tonight I say to the business community in the United States of America, the most powerful economy in the world, to the businessmen and women, I say thank you for your service. Give yourselves a round of applause. Because I think we all understand that how America unfolds in this extraordinary 21st century, in the end will be determined by our economy, by our business, by our innovation. That is what has made the United States the leading country in the world with a $15 trillion a year gross domestic product. Admiral Mike Mullen, another terrific mentor of mine, was fond of saying, as he concluded 4 years as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, that our national debt is our biggest national security threat. I would spin that, I would turn that and say that our greatest opportunity is the vibrancy and the innovation of our business community in the United States of America. You know, We need only look in history for the negative examples. We look at the Roman Empire, which debased its coinage, and that caused its military and geopolitical collapse. We look at the Ming Dynasty, which misunderstood the function of paper currency, overprinted, superheated its economy, and saw its collapse and domination by European powers. We look at the British Empire emerging from the Second World War with an enormous, justifiable, but an enormous overhang of debt, which brought the end of British capability as a global empire. We know how this story can come out as we look at the Soviet Union. We see what a centralized economy, we see overspending in a variety of different ways, and we see an economic collapse that brings the end of the Cold War. Again, why will that not happen to the United States? Because of the vibrancy, the innovation, and the extraordinary creativity of our business community. You know, we have spent 30 years in the military learning joint operations, how we can bring the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps together. We do that fairly well. Today we are learning interagency operations, bringing defense, diplomacy, development, treasury, justice, all of that together in the interagency. I would argue, and my real thesis for you tonight as I conclude, is that the next big thing is private-public cooperation, because our government needs that innovation, that energy, that capability that comes from the private sector. And that's challenging. It's hard to find the fit and finish of private and public coming together. But I would argue it's crucial. And this applies across the spectrum of what we do as a nation, from cyber to military operations and everything in between. We must find a way to harness this energy and innovation in this business sector. So I'll conclude with an image for you of an iceberg. Now, some may say, you know, why would a Navy admiral want to talk about icebergs? You know, they famously can sink ships. I'll tell you what's profound about an iceberg as you consider security in the 21st century. Historically, when we think of security, it's the tip of the iceberg. It's the military. It's the men and women in uniform. And we're important. But in the end, in this turbulent 21st century, what will deliver security for the United States is the rest of the iceberg, which you don't often think of when you think of security. It's the interagency, it's the international coalitions, and it's the business community of the United States of America. I salute you. Thank you very much for this honor, and thank you for having me here tonight. Thank you so much.